I'm just telling you for this.
We
We're gonna
got
have a
all
good
bent
one
out
here.
of shape, so I
Oh, we will.
destroyed all that, put it in a pile, and broke everything down, put it in a pile, and take it somewhere with it. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
How are you?
that's about all
Sorry, I didn't recognize you at
Oh, but he
first.
does get zoned out.
that happened around here. We were lucky. Damn lucky.
My uncle's house, 'cause they had Patty. You should have seen Dogtown today.
Were you down there?
I drove by.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I have a friend of mine lives out here. He used to go down there every year. He doesn't anymore. He just kept telling me, go, go, go. But I don't like, I didn't like, I don't like, you gotta park 30 miles away. Everybody's going into it.
Regular meeting of Washington, Missouri City Council, Monday, March 17th, 2025, 7 p.m. Fair.
Here.
Briggs.
Here.
Coulter.
Here.
Hydrich.
Here.
Holtmeyer.
Here.
Packey.
Here.
Reed. Here. Wessels.
Here.
Please rise for Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Will all the council members answer if they have or have not read the minutes of the council meeting dated March 3rd, 2025? Fair.
Yes.
Briggs.
Yes.
Coulter.
Yes.
Hydrich.
Aye.
Holtmeyer.
Yes.
Packey.
Yes.
Reed.
Yep.
Wessels.
Hi.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Bear, second by Coulter. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thanks, guys. It's approved.
Approval and adjustment of agenda, including consent agenda. You have a change order number 1 for 2024 Earthcrest Extension Bridge Project VE. Final payment requests for Airport Hangar Project. Final payment requests for the High Street Highway 100 CMAQ Professional Services. And you have a liquor license application for N Sports Rec Center LLC.
Any discussion, guy?
If not, I'll make a motion.
Second.
Motion by Packey, second by Coulter to approve the consent. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
It's approved.
Priority items, mayor's presentations, appointments and reappointments, Industrial Development Authority appointment.
Dear council members, I herewith submit for your approval the following for appointment to the Industrial Development Authority. John Gross, and John's here tonight. Welcome.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion by Hydrich, second by Coulter.
Your Honor.
Yes.
Quite the resume, Mr. Gross. I've enjoyed reading that a couple weeks ago when it was sent to us, so welcome and thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. I agree. Okay, we got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Welcome, John. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Police Department reappointments.
Good evening, council. I'd like to present 4 officers for reappointment. Rebecca Corbett, Brendan McMillan, Preston Markwart, and Calvin Brose.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Patkey, second by Hydrich. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you.
Public hearings, annexation, Stonebridge Phase 4 and 5.
Okay, we have an annexation, if I can get this switched over. So you're familiar with the Stonebridge development. We are now looking at phases 4 and 5. This is 43.68 acres, which will officially close that donut hole that we have between Stonecrest and Stonebridge, and various other developments. The zoning will be R1D, as it's been in the past, and those lot sizes will be at least 7,500 square feet in size. But because of the topography, you'll see on the preliminary that those lot sizes are much larger. I did have one resident give me a call and ask about the zoning to the north along Foxcrest. They wanted to know what was going to go in there because it's zoned R3. I don't have any plans right now. We have Aspen Valley and we have the fire department that just broke ground. So aside from that, I'm not real familiar with plans for future development there. But other than that, no one's come to me and questioned this annexation.
Questions? Discussion? This is a public hearing, so would anyone in the audience like to comment? If so, please come up to the mic, state your name and your address. Okay. Well, we need a motion to accept into the minutes then, gang, please.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Briggs,
Second.
second by Wessels.
This does not yet include my concern.
That discussion will come up later on
This
in
is
your,
strictly
for
the
preliminary.
annexation.
This is just the
Yes,
annexation.
Just
All right,
annexation.
okay.
Okay.
Yes, second.
Further questions after the two? Okay, let's vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Accepted into the minutes. Thank you.
An ordinance annexing 43.68 acres off Beaker Road into the city of Washington, Franklin County, Missouri.
Patke.
Introduced by Patke.
Any other discussion?
Any guys have any other discussions or questions about this?
Only thing I would add is that the planning and zoning meeting, I asked Charles this question knowing this, but the construction of this phase will coincide with the construction of Fox Crest and the bridge from Rabbit Trail. It coincide pretty much at the same time. So, as it's developed, we'll have another, ingress and egress of it at the same time. So, we're moving in the right direction. So, thank you.
Okay. Go ahead, Sherry. Second reading, please.
An ordinance annexing 43.68 acres off Beaker Road into the city of Washington, Franklin County, Missouri. Patke,
Yes.
Heidrich,
Aye.
Holtmeyer,
Aye.
Reed,
Yes.
Wessels,
Aye.
Briggs,
Yes.
Bear,
Yes.
Coulter.
Yes.
By your vote, ordinance 3B passes. Guys, that's exciting. Goodness gracious, 99 new homes.
That's the plan.
Citizens' comments?
Okay, now, if anyone would like to comment on anything in the audience, please come forward, state your name and your address. It's not in the minutes,
Anything not on the agenda?
not on the agenda, that's right. Getting closer.
You're getting close.
All right, next, Sherry, please.
Ordinances and resolutions. An ordinance amending the 2025 budget of the city of Washington, Missouri.
Briggs.
Introduced by Briggs.
This is I think Nelson is here, but this is just an amendment. I think he's got a grant that they received, and with this budget amendment, we'll just go ahead and account for the grant funds coming in and then the expenditures going out for those development. This is for an innovation grant, and then you've got tablets and listening devices for children. So, cover it?
Yeah, that's everything. Money in.
Nelson, can you go up to the
Yeah.
podium, please?
That's all right. That's everything? Go ahead.
Yeah, Darren, that's everything in it. It's money in, money out. $4,080 is coming in, and we're going to spend $4,080 on checkouts for children for our spotlight section in the library.
Very good. Questions, discussions? Okay, second reading, please. Thanks, Nelson.
Thanks, Nelson.
An ordinance amending the 2025 budget of the city of Washington, Missouri. Patke,
Yes.
Heidrich,
Aye.
Holtmeyer,
Aye.
Reed,
Yes.
Wessels,
Aye.
Briggs,
Yes.
Bear,
Yes.
Coulter.
Yes.
By your vote, ordinance 7A passes. B, please.
An ordinance authorizing and directing the acceptance of a service order by and between the city of Washington, Missouri and Bluebird Fiber for fiber service at the Crestview Water Tower.
Holtmar.
Introduced by Holtmar.
This is just the ordinance for what I requested of Darren's approval for in our last meeting. So,
This will be a savings, correct, of about $11.50 a month, I think, that's what you
Yes.
had identified in your letter, so.
Questions, discussion?
Hard to argue with that.
Second reading, please.
An ordinance authorizing and directing the acceptance of a service order by and between the city of Washington, Missouri and Bluebird Fiber for fiber service at the Crestview Water Tower. Patke,
Yes.
Heidrich,
Aye.
Holtmeyer,
Aye.
Reed. Wessels,
Aye.
Briggs,
Yes.
Bear,
Yes.
Coulter.
Yes.
By your vote, ordinance 7B passes. C, please.
An ordinance authorizing and directing the acceptance of proposal by and between the City of Washington, Missouri and Vantaventure Engineering for the replacement of programming of 3 variable frequency drives.
Yes, but these are
I'm sorry,
three.
can someone introduce?
Oh, sorry.
I'll do it.
Jumping
Bear.
down here.
Introduced by Bear.
Okay.
Now go ahead, Kevin.
These are VFDs that control our disc aerators down at the wastewater treatment plant. The disc aerators are on top of the vertical loop reactors that helps the sewage circulate and do its job. They're all getting old. The treatment plant's 16 years old almost, so things are starting to wear out. So I was able to work with Vanderveer Engineering and get a 3-price replacement and save about $1,400 in doing that rather than doing them one at a time. So.
Is that installed price?
That's installed and programmed. These have to be programmed to our SCADA system, because our SCADA system is what controls it. And Vanderveer is the company that manages and does the maintenance on our SCADA system, so kind of lump it all together, so,
So you're replacing all 3?
yes.
And is that the total down there, 3 of them?
No, we will have 3 more to do, probably in next year's budget, along with, we're doing the influent wet well station this year yet, which was approved last year. And we are rebuilding the belt press that's over in our sludge processing, which was approved last year. Materials are finally starting to come into that. It's been about 6 months waiting on materials, so a lot of stuff's going on down at the treatment plant right now.
Are they the same ones you have now?
They are the same manufacturer, just a newer style model, so.
You're gonna keep them old ones for backups?
The old ones, we've actually used them as long as much as we can, so they're pretty much just scrap. So there's really nothing we can do with them. We've modified them and adjusted and used set points out of them as much as we can, and they've gotten to the point where we can't nurse them along anymore, so.
No further questions? Second reading, please.
An ordinance authorizing and directing the acceptance of a proposal by and between the City of Washington, Missouri and Vantaventure Engineering for the replacement and programming of 3 variable frequency drives. Packey,
Yes.
Heidrich,
Aye.
Altmeyer,
Aye.
Reed,
Yes.
Wessels,
Aye.
Briggs,
Yes.
Bear,
Yes.
Coulter.
Yes.
By your vote, ordinance 7C passes.
And if I could, real quick, I'd like to give everybody an update on the Front Street Waterline project. We started on that this morning, 10 o'clock. We ran into our first problem.
Imagine that.
Front Street.
So
What
we had
else?
to stop, and we found that the storm drain is in line, well, basically in line with our water main. We can go under it, but we couldn't make a live tap to start the project, so we have to shut the water down. We couldn't shut the water down today because the brewery guys were making beer, and he's a big guy, so I didn't wanna, make him upset.
I warned him.
So we will be doing it tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock and then moving on.
beer production, we're good.
That's right, you can't do that. So anyway, so I just wanted to give you a heads up, we did start it, so we have a big hole down on Front Street that's covered with road plates and a track hose sitting on top of it.
Kevin,
Or backhoe.
is that your guys right out here on the corner, heading down Jefferson there?
You had the vac truck up here.
Oh, yeah. We found a curb stop that had to be worked on, so that's kind of what we're doing with all these projects. Whenever something comes up, we bring our vac truck out and fix whatever's going on and just keep moving. So, we was able to do that today and, because we wasn't working on the water line, but
Okay.
anyway, so. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. 7D, please, Sherry.
An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of a contract by and between the City of Washington, Missouri and HDR Engineering, Inc. for professional services for the Highway 100 East Fifth Street Intersection Improvement Project, CMAQ 6400631.
Bear.
Introduced by Bear.
Said this is the contract with HDR for design and construction inspection services for about $340,000. It is part of a CMAQ grant at East Fifth Street and Highway 100, so the city portion is 20% of that. This is where we're adding the dual left turn lanes as well as the dedicated right turn lanes and sidewalks on the west side of Fifth Street there.
Charles, is that sidewalk, okay, that's on the west side, and it seemed to be in one of our other futures, we were hoping, heading further down, or further north.
Correct.
Is that also on that? I thought
That's
that
not
was-
on
So we
this.
just applied this year for the next phase of Fifth Street going to Old Highway 100, adding, extending that sidewalk further on the west side. So we
So
haven't
it'll be on the
heard-
west side all the way down?
Yes. Yeah.
That's another application.
We
I
haven't,
know-
we
I
haven't
know.
heard back.
I just
on
want to
that
make sure you.
I thought that, I was confused. I thought the sidewalk coming out of his apartment would be on the east side for the apartment.
We have it going down the west side, but also a connection
A
on
portion
the
of
east
it
side.
on the east side.
To tie into those new apartments as well.
Okay.
No further questions or discussion? Second reading.
An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of a contract by and between the City of Washington, Missouri and HDR Engineering, Inc. for professional services for the Highway 100 East Fifth Street Intersection Improvement Project, CMAQ 6400631. Patke,
Yes.
Heidrich,
Aye.
Holtmeyer,
Aye.
Reed,
Yes.
Wessels,
Aye.
Briggs,
Yes.
Bear,
Yes.
Coulter.
Yes.
By your vote, ordinance 7D passes. E, please.
An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of a First Amendment lease agreement by and between the City of Washington, Missouri and the Axe Depot LLC.
Holtmar.
Introduced by Holtmar.
This is an amendment to the lease that we have down there on the freight depot for the business that's currently in there is the Axe Depot. We have some new owners that are going to be looking at taking over that lease. They will pick up where the lease payments were left off with the previous tenant. And I think that's 37, at least right now. The annual rate's $37,008. So divide that by 12 and you'll figure it out. But anyway, within the lease, it's for a 4-year lease and you have a 3% CPI escalator each year. I think that's all the terms that we had discussed with you in renewing this lease.
So it goes from 5 years to 9 years, basically.
Well, you've got 2 years under the belt from the existing owners that are there. Now you're gonna add 4 more. So you'll have 6 total after you get through this.
So they're picking up their lease.
They're actually adding to what we had before with them. That's correct. You're going from a 3-year to a 4-year with this. 3 years that's left to a new 4-year lease. The new lessees are out here in the crowd here. That's Barry and Melissa. There we go.
Questions, discussion? Second reading, Sherry?
An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of a First Amendment to lease agreement by and between the City of Washington, Missouri and the Axe Depot LLC. Patke,
Yes.
Heidrich,
Aye.
Holtmeyer,
Aye.
Reed,
Yes.
Wessels,
Aye.
Briggs,
Yes.
Bear,
Yes.
Coulter.
Yes.
By your vote, ordinance 7E passes. Congrats, you guys.
Welcome.
Commission, committee, and board reports. Preliminary plat approval, Stonebridge Phase 4 and 5.
Okay, so we are moving on to the preliminary plat. Of course, my computer's freezing up again.
It gets stuck.
It stopped working. And everything I do.
Trees and a deep ditch right there.
Yeah, it's like the water runoff, but it was.
Oh, let's see now. Oh, still not. Still not. Okay, so hopefully that will fix itself, because the more I click, the more it wants to think about it. But you have it in your packet. You can see again that there's phases 4 and 5 that they're planning. They're gonna start with phase 4 of 49 lots, and then finish with phase 5, 50 lots. And I love this computer. So we're looking at a couple new streets, mostly cul-de-sacs. We have 5 new cul-de-sacs. Yes, we did speak to how we're gonna make that connection to Fox Crest. That's currently getting the new box culvert in there to connect to Rabbit Trail and all the way to North Crest. All streets will have the 50-foot right-of-way, and we're kind of looking at one cul-de-sac in particular that went through the Planning and Zoning Commission with a little bit of concern because currently the grade is set at 12% grade as opposed to our maximum 10%. And the width of that cul-de-sac is also to be 30 feet versus the 35-foot normal width of a street. The 30-foot width of the street is actually allowed in our code if it's a street that is less than 700 feet in length, and there's less than 10 units that are gonna be built in that cul-de-sac in that area. So it really does meet the code, so we do allow that with a parking on one side ordinance. But the conversation about the grade of the street has come up many times with Public Works, having these cul-de-sacs that are kind of steeper, and it's hard for them to get their trucks in there. And then fire department has concerns too. So it came up as a conversation, but still went through planning and zoning with approval, just because of the fact that we've been allowing it and that it is a fairly short little stub of a cul-de-sac. It's about 200 feet in length, so it's not a very long road, although I would argue that makes it maybe a little bit more difficult because it's just a quick turn into that cul-de-sac. So that was the extent of that. I did want to kind of look at the overview, if I can actually get this thing to operate for me.
Ava Court is the one that's got the 12% while she's trying to look that up.
Yeah, I'm
Ava
sorry, I
Court
didn't
is,
say Ava Court.
it's the shortest one that you see, that comes up where Fiddler's Close, looks like that enters into Timber Creek Drive. So that's the one that's got the 12%. The concern that we've had with regards to that, Tony's had some concern with regards, especially for snow plowing and situations like that, because they really don't have, there you go, now you can, I'll let you go now.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I was just thinking about, this, this technical difficulty, but yeah, so Ava Court is what I have highlighted in yellow there. You can see that itty bitty cul-de-sac. So one of the other conversations that we were having too, so here's the overview of the entire development. You can see phases 1 through 5 with the streets in there. And we did have a concern over connections to Main Street, so getting in and out. We didn't have but one for the longest time, so this final phase kind of really gives us those 3 connections that we have at Rabbit Trail and North Crest. But looking at those streets, you can see that there is a lot of cul-de-sacs going on. And so we have, Charles and I have been discussing coming up with a connectivity index, and I don't think I have that presentation in here, but basically we're looking at those segments of those streets versus the nodes where they intersect, and we count those up and we do a math calculation, segments over nodes, and the index, the best practices and the comprehensive plan, this has all come kind of into our world, is like a 1.4 ratio, where when we calculate this development, we're calculating it more like a 1.1 with those segments and those nodes. So it tells us that there's not great connectivity between these streets, and it kind of limits the movement in and out of these subdivisions for our street department, our emergency management department, fire trucks and those, even just the people themselves just getting around town, getting in and out. It's not a benefit overall for them or for us. So we are, again, starting a steering committee to discuss how we can kind of implement and get the connections to increase just a little bit. We do understand that, especially with this development here, this is a very, the terrain, the topography is very hilly. There's a lot of culverts, or not culverts, but creeks and kind of like ditches and things like that make it really expensive and very difficult to make those connections. So we didn't want to push that with this development. We want to see this come to fruition and this to finalize, but we want to push kind of maybe in the future new developments that come into town.
Charles, do you want to talk, if you don't mind coming up, one of the council called me today or whatever and was asking, because the city has had within Stonecrest I think that's English Crest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gonna ask, we got a dead end.
English Crest Court, which was always dead-ended that way, just with the idea of tying into the development. But, I mean, Charles, you can explain a little bit of why there's limitations or why that can't come to fruition?
Yeah, we've looked at that before, and even this developer, when they were doing it, looked at it, and the grades through there are just so steep, it would be really hard to make that connection to tie in. I mean, you can kind of see there's like a ravine through there, and the water follows that ditch line there. And then there's also a major pipeline that runs right behind that back property there. And if you had to cut the grades to get that connection, you'd have to lower that pipeline, and obviously the costs involved with that as well. And you can also see that property that ends at English Crest, there is no right-of-way all the way through that, so we still have to acquire that right-of-way as well. Just a lot of hurdles. The fact that we do have the connection to Fox Crest, and Fox Crest connects to North Crest and Rabbit Trail, I feel like we have enough connections into Stone Crest now.
That's, and I will, just while I can, I will add, that's what the part that's in your comprehensive plan, to go ahead and have that connection that we've already been working on for the last 2 to 3 years, which is Fox Crest. That's the main one that makes that connection from Rabbit Trail going to the east.
Because at one point, the thought was to tie Rabbit Trail into like English Crest there, you know, so.
Yes, that was one of
Going
the
north, so.
earlier designs.
So I guess my question is, if we were thinking of doing that and it's platted and we ended up with a dead end, how did we not know we couldn't connect to it? Why do we have that set up to be connected and now we're saying we can't do it?
Probably a good question. Probably didn't look at, the actual future
At the time
roadway
when
at the
well, I
time.
will tell you, that it's been quite some time since that Stonecrest was platted, before Clay Camp Farm ever became, so nobody really took a look at what it was gonna take to go ahead and make that
I'm
connection.
just wondering if one of
Yeah.
the other streets would have been a better option.
And it could have been, absolutely, but, it's just like it's not really any different than, only in this case it worked, but, over at, Autumn Leaf,
That's
where we,
exactly, yeah.
where we tie in, and we had 2 streets over there. They were not intended for to be major streets or connections. They were just residential connections
Right.
that just to go ahead and do. Only those 2 worked by just stubbing them there until they got to the next development. This one, we've had this limitation on it. Originally, I think your connection was a lot, like I said, a lot further south. We were gonna try to tie in somewhere down in here. And then this became the easier choice to go ahead and move forward with. But we always identified some east-west connection to go ahead and get that traffic. And again, we anticipate that when that gets through, you're gonna alleviate a lot of traffic that now, I mean, you still are gonna have traffic up on Rabbit Trail and 100, that's not the point. But at least all of these new homes that are there, if they wanna get over into,
Phoenix Center.
Phoenix Center, thank you. They've got a route to do that rather than go up there up there by the cinema. So,
Charles, I was surprised, I talked to you a little bit the other day about it, that, we have that code on that grade, and it was brought up, Tony's people, it was brought up by the fire department and so forth, and yet, here it is, coming forward to us. I'm surprised that is there some way we can stipulate with that developer? No, you will make it the grade that our code says it's supposed to be?
Yeah. if you guys,
Absolutely.
Don't approve the variance tonight by allowing it 12%, yeah, you can hold to the code for 10%.
I mean, they've moved a lot of earth over there.
Yeah.
I mean, they've moved some mountains. I can't imagine that they can't some way correct that
Yeah, it might
issue.
cost a little bit more money, but yeah, you can definitely cut that down.
yeah, as a matter of fact, we talked about this as staff, or I talked about it to Charles this afternoon. Our recommendation is to stick with the 10%. So that's a modification to your staff report that got pushed into your packet. But that was, again, it was after additional concerns were raised by the street departments primarily. It's hard to plow snow on that, so,
In addition to being narrow, it makes it even
yeah.
harder on Tony's guys.
And I know John Borgman had a lot of concerns. I was surprised there again with P and Z. He had all the concerns, but then he went,
I think it ended up being that we have other streets like that, is kind of the answer that John took at Planning and Zoning last Monday, is that we've already had those, and we're letting those by, and that was kind of my point. But here we are at the 11th hour to approve the plat, if we could do this at the beginning of the plat and let the developer know that that's not sufficient, then they can make that changes and, you know,
We
they'll
kinda
turn
do
the
that
number of
with a
lots.
code that says that's the maximum, don't we?
Right.
I mean, yeah, it
Well,
exists, but we're
We've
trying
never
to.
seen it. I've never seen that till now, that we were
Right.
gonna go 12%.
We have had on others, I guess, where we've issued the variance, it's been on a case-by-case basis. How much, you know, street do you have? Like in this case, there's no way for them to go ahead and get a good run to get up the hill even. Whereas in other cases, it might have been a longer stretch of street and you only had a small portion that was 12%, and it didn't pose that same problem.
I think you had in Weber Heights, you have a few of them, and then as you started Stonebridge, you had a couple, and it was fine, it kind of worked. But as we got into this last phase, after they were built, and just looking at those cul-de-sacs and that 12%, street department, I mean, they're gonna struggle plowing those cul-de-sacs. So I mean, it's kind of a, you know, I had to wait and see what that really looked like in real life to see that 12%. I mean, it makes a big difference.
Well, and the other thing, I think if we've been doing it frequently, maybe we need to change the code. I don't know, but
We've had the, yeah.
Yeah, when you've got it in the code and you present it to them and there it is, and they say, no, we're gonna do it, yeah, that doesn't make sense to me.
Then there's no discussion here, right?
Right,
If
yeah.
it meets the code, so.
And what are the kind of options besides just leaving that earth crust stub out, just how it is now? I guess without acquiring any property there.
You're talking about English Crest again, back in
English
Stonecrest?
crest.
Okay.
Earth crust, or is it?
English crest.
English Crest.
Are you talking about the one that was gonna be a connection from
Yeah, and it's
Stonecrest?
still, it's sitting there.
It can, well, if the, I mean, that's an option that if the property owner wanted to come to city and donate the right-of-way for a cul-de-sac, just like all the other ones, we could consider that and then put it in our, possibly in our street program to go ahead and have that completed. Or I think, are those combined lots now? I don't know.
I think
One.
So if they combine the lots,
I'm looking at this and it seems like we approved giving up that right away.
and you might, but if he comes back and wants to go ahead and subdivide that again and create a lot on the north and the south, well, then that's gonna be upon him to go ahead and build a cul-de-sac. Because your codes would require the developer or the subdivider to go ahead and do those improvements. So I would say in the meantime, it can stay as is. And then you don't have to go ahead and do the cul-de-sac unless he comes back, unless you choose to, want to. And he comes willingly and gives you right of way, or two, he comes along and wants to subdivide.
Further questions or discussions, guys? I think everybody is wondering exactly what our options.
Well, you can approve this with, as is minus the variance and that Ava Court has to hold to a 10% grade.
that's, I would make that motion.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Okay. We got a motion by Wessels and a second by Holtmeyer to make the recommendation to hold him to a 10% at Ava Court.
Correct. And all, and everything else is approved.
Okay? Any other discussions, guys? Second reading, Sherry.
Nope, I just need a,
No, just a, it's not
got a
a
motion on the floor, you got
Just
Wessels
need a
and
motion.
Joe.
Okay.
motion and a second.
We have a motion and a second, so all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Nay. You want to do a roll call, I think?
we should.
Yep.
I can do that. Packey,
Nay.
Heidrich,
Aye.
Holtmeyer,
Aye.
Reed,
Yes.
Wessels,
Aye.
Briggs,
No.
Thayer,
No.
Coulter.
Yes.
It's 5-3, wasn't it?
Yes.
By your vote, that is approved.
Preliminary plat approval, 1080 Caroline Drive.
Okay, so we have another preliminary plat. This one's just a two-lot minor subdivision at 1080 Carolyn Drive. It's the old Gauche Clinic, and they are planning on keeping that building intact, and they're just gonna parcel off the empty part of that lot.
The west side.
Yep, on the west side along the, along Highway 47 there. So the first lot's gonna be just under an acre at 0.79 acres, second lot will be 0.84 acres. And they are proposing to build a building there. We haven't seen any civil plans yet, but they put this on the preliminary plat, showing where the parking would be and stormwater retention would be under the ground, retaining wall and things like that. So they do have plans to develop that pretty quickly. And they do need to extend the sewer. So you can see where there's a red dot there. That's currently where our sewer main stops. That's our manhole. So they need to extend that sewer. They've submitted a letter of credit from their bank to cover that. So we do have that escrow in place, and they're gonna be working on that while they're developing this property.
Questions? No
Do we know what kind of building this is going to be, what's it gonna be used for?
It's zoned commercial. We do not have any building permit plans yet that have been submitted, correct?
No, we haven't had anything submitted. Although they asked
Anything
what
that
the
could be
process
allowed
was.
within C2 general commercial.
The traffic there's bad enough, trying to get out onto 47.
100. Yeah.
All right.
Need a motion?
Yeah, we do.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Briggs.
Second.
Second by Patke. Let's try it again. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes.
An ordinance approving the final plat of Glenview Commercial Subdivision in the city of Washington, Franklin County, Missouri.
Okay, so this is the.
I'm sorry, I need someone to.
Oh,
we need
to introduce,
Briggs.
yes.
Introduced by Briggs.
All right, so this is, again, the final plat for what you just approved, the preliminary plat. Be technically 1076 Carolyn Drive if you approve this.
You've also got a performance contract attached to the final plat for them to provide, as Sarah had mentioned earlier, the $16,250 is the cost of constructing that sewer to get it over to the second lot.
You mentioned a couple highways. It seems to me that this is all basically along Caroline. This doesn't reach over to 47 or 100,
No.
does it?
No.
As a matter of fact, I think not too long ago, a few months back, Mark, correct me if I'm wrong, there was a right-of-way that did have an entrance at one time to Highway 100.
Yeah, we,
And we vacated that.
it was on a bluff there.
Correct. Would have been very difficult.
Talk about a 10% grade. That was
Ski lift. Yeah, there goes your grade.
Other questions or discussions, guys? Second reading.
An ordinance approving the final plat of Glenview Commercial Subdivision in the city of Washington, Franklin County, Missouri. Patke,
Yes.
Heidrich,
Aye.
Holtmeyer,
Aye.
Reed,
Yes.
Wessels,
Aye.
Briggs,
Yes.
Bear,
Yes.
Coulter.
Yes.
By your vote, ordinance 8C passes. D, please.
An ordinance approving the final plat of the Bluffs at Pasora Place in the city of Washington, Franklin County, Missouri.
Bear.
Introduced by Bear.
Okay, so this is a blast from the past. So Bluffs at Pasora Place went through the process of preliminary plats. It's a residential plan development. So it went through the process back in 2022, was approved, came back to y'all for final approval in November of 2023 with 23 lots, and then future development off of Madison Avenue. So on the visual on the left side, you can see what they had originally intended to do. Since then, they have received building permits. They started construction on 3 of their buildings. If you've gone down there, I think one of them looks pretty good. It's got the siding up, the brick up. So they're eking their way through this process. But the plat that you approved was never recorded. And so they came to us with a new plat. They're reducing it down to 21 lots. I guess that grade there is really too steep for them to financially make that second units, or
Those 2 units.
that
on
4 set of 2 units developable. So they are not changing anything else. I think there's a couple of easements that were modified for sewer. But other than that, everything is pretty much exactly the same as you can see when you compare these two. So they're just asking for final approval again for this plat so they can get this recorded. And we are requiring that they give us a copy of the recorded plat before we allow any occupancy inspections, because we thought this was done.
But they have 21 lots now as compared to 23
Right, yeah.
that they were approved in the
21
past. So
lots.
it's a reduction of 2 lots.
Yeah.
Questions or discussions, you guys? The developer is here. Okay, second reading, Sherry.
An ordinance approving the final plat of the Bluffs at Pasora Place in the city of Washington, Franklin County, Missouri. Patke,
Yes.
Heidrich,
Aye.
Holtmeyer,
Aye.
Reed. Yes. Wessels,
Aye.
Briggs,
Yes.
Bear,
Yes.
Coulter.
Yes.
By your vote, ordinance 8D passes. Thank you.
Mayor's report.
We dodged another bullet on Friday, gang, so thank God. A prayer for everybody who didn't, or wasn't as fortunate as we were.
Sherry's hair's not even out of place. I'll tell you what.
But other than that, folks, I've got nothing. Gosh, that's more development that's really exciting, so, thanks.
City Administrator's report.
We do have a couple items to discuss in executive session.
Council comments.
Go Mizzou.
Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah.
There we go.
Okay.
City Attorney's report. Public vote on whether or not to hold a closed meeting to discuss personnel, legal, and real estate matters pursuant to section 610.021 RSMO 2000. Patke,
Yes.
Heidrich,
Aye.
Holtmeyer,
Aye.
Reed,
Yes.
Wessels,
Aye.
Briggs,
Yes.
Bear,
Yes.
Coulter.
Yes.
By your vote, we're in executive session. Thank you, everybody.
I send an email to Sean. Sean Brinker.
Oh, okay.
Good luck.
Okay.